2021 has more jewels and gems to offer as this roller coaster ride gets even more upside down and spinny. Folks, now we're looking at the possibility that in early 2021, here we are right now, Fox News has something to do with finding Jimmy Hoffa. Are you kidding me? Now we're on Jimmy Hoffa. This was the joke at the end of like all 80s and 90s movies. Like they wouldn't find what they needed to find, but they'd find Jimmy Hoffa because, he was the union guy. If you don't know about Jimmy Hoffa, I guess we could do a video about him one day. But Jimmy Hoffa was the union guy, made a lot of these great changes, and then possibly the mafia being ordered by the government. Possibly. We don't know. Made him disappear. And now they think they may have found him. We were told Jimmy Hoffa was buried in a metal barrel. Now guess what Fox Nation has found? This riddle on Fox Nation uncovered new clues in a decades-long mystery. I want to read this to you guys. I want to end this podcast episode on a good note. We went through some interesting articles. You learned some stuff that some other people may not be covering. I'm sure others are covering the Cuomo one, but not many are covering the Apple one, and not many are covering the GameStonk one the way I covered it. I wanted to do it more of a reveal, more for a general audience, and not necessarily for the folks that speak that language. All right. I wanted to make the layman's version of a GameStonk mania. All right. The Apple thing you probably hadn't heard, so I'm glad you learned about that. We went through with Cuomo. I put my spin on it because he's a traitorous bastard. And now we're going to talk about, of all things, I thought we'd be talking about aliens by now. No, we're talking about Jimmy Hoffa, ladies and gentlemen, the Teamster, Jimmy Hoffa of fame, ladies and gentlemen, fame and fortune. Mr. Jimmy Hoffa could be encased in a metal barrel in New Jersey, of all places. I hope it's not in Hoboken, New Jersey. Jimmy Hoffa could be encased in a metal barrel tomb in New Jersey. Fox Nation has found what appears to be multiple large buried pieces of curved metal that could indicate steel drums arranged on top of each other that fit the description of where Hoffa was buried in a 55-gallon steel drum, with additional drums piled on the top of him in 1975. This is super interesting, folks. Check this out. Quote, he couldn't fit in the drum body first, feet first. Nah, they had to turn him around and put him in head first. Frank Coppola told, I had to do it like that. Sorry. This is from Frank Coppola. He told that to Fox Nation, describing how he says his father, Paul Coppola Sr., pushed the remains of the iconic labor leader into a steel drum when his body was delivered to him at his mob-connected Jersey City dump days after Hoffa vanished outside of Detroit. Quote, he couldn't get the legs to bend right. Don't take this the wrong way because, he had a lot of respect for Hoffa, but he said they couldn't fit the fat little man in barrel feet first. So they put him in head first and they pushed the cover on top of him and they just buried him. Coppola said his father then dug a 12-foot deep hole with an excavator, dumped the drum, holding Hoffa's remains into the pit, then piled more than a dozen 55-pound steel drums on top of Hoffa before filling the hole in with dirt to cover up the evidence. He said he was 99.99.99% sure, and he would bet his life that Hoffa was there. Fox Nation also found an underground pit that was at some point filled with a different dirt at the same spot. The discovery of buried curved metal pieces and the filled-in pit where Coppola said Hoffa's remains can be found is revealed in Fox Nation's latest episode of Riddle, the search for James R. Hoffa. Ooh, that's my name. The show is a 4-part series that delves into the disappearance of the formal International Brotherhood of Teamsters president with the goal of trying to finally solve the case. Hoffa was murdered after he disappeared on July 30th, 1975, while on his way to a suspected meeting with mafia bosses, including infamous New Jersey Genovese crime family capo and Teamsters union leader Anthony Tony Provenzano, who ruled the area where Coppola told us Hoffa is buried. Fox Nation hired ground-penetrating radar services. This is pretty cool. A nationwide company that uses radar technology. I hope this company, American Reveille, the one we're building, I hope we have enough money one of these days so we can do some cool stuff like this, because I have some awesome plans to bring you guys some killer documentaries once we secure funding. I really do. All right. They used this radar technology, all right, that reflects objects underground to search for any evidence of the buried barrels. The radar revealed numerous curved shapes like half-moon objects on top of each other that GPRS project manager and specialized radar technician Steve Sahulis told us are pieces of metal, along with a delineated underground pack of dirt, indicating that a pit had at one time been dug and then filled in. What Sahulis called metal round anomalies were described as being similar to the size of large drums. We're getting another round anomaly here, Sahulis said as he scanned the ground with the radar screen, revealing numerous round objects at the spot where Frank had pointed out as Hoffa's burial site. This is real interesting. I hope they find him. We're all getting them at a similar height as well. I'm getting similar anomalies. Sahulis said he scanned the area using a grid pattern. You can tell that there's something that was disturbed here. This was explained in one of the findings. It's almost like it was excavated. Something happened here, and there's definitely metal underground. The spot is a dusty and hard soil plot of land in Jersey City, directly under the looming Pulaski Skyway that connects the city to Newark across the Meadowlands. The parcel is owned by the New Jersey Department of Transportation and is now used by a local waste management company to store unused dumpsters. Quote, Frank's story's the best darn story that I've heard about this case in the 44 years since I first started investigating Hoffa's murder, said Dan Moldea, the most prominent Hoffa expert in the country. He wrote the landmark book, The Hoffa Wars, in 1978, has been investigating the Hoffa disappearance for decades and was interviewed by Fox Nation and then teamed up with our effort. Quote, I think what Eric and I are now proving is that from soup to nuts, this was a Jersey operation, he said. Frickin' Jersey. Jersey always does this. This is a Jersey operation, eh? It's Jersey. We got the better pizza in Jersey. I will say this. I love New York pizza, all right? But I've gone across the water and had pizza in Jersey right across the water. It's very close. Can't beat that East Coast pizza, though. Can't beat it whatsoever. Frank first approached Dan after he appeared. By the way, I'm talking about pizza here. So, if Dave Portnoy's ever watching this, I would love to be on One Bite. Everybody knows the rules. Just saying. If any of my fans are also fans of Dave Portnoy, please feel free to harass him about having me on there. Frank first approached Dan after he appeared in the first 2 episodes of Riddle. He told him where the site is. He later accompanied Dan there to see it for himself. Frank also executed a sworn affidavit backing up his information to submit to law enforcement. He takes me to the exact spot. He knew exactly where it was, Moldea reported. And here we can see a picture of it. Let me zoom in a little bit for those watching. This is Frank Capella showing Dan Moldea where he says his father buried Jimmy Hoffa. He describes how Hoffa was buried in the latest episode of Riddle, The Search for James R. Hoffa on Fox Nation. Look at this picture. See the freeway? It's like a freeway or a bridge on top, and under here is like a waste storage facility. It looks like some gangs in New York stuff where they would have something buried. It really does. I'd love it if they could excavate, but they can't. And we'll talk about that at the end of this article. The site's just a few feet off the property line of the dump, PJP landfill, that Frank's father owned along with the Genovese crime family mobster Phil, brother Moscato. Moscato's son, Philip Jr., told Fox Nation that his father admitted that Hoffa's body was brought to New Jersey from Detroit and was buried. The FBI had long theorized that Hoffa's killer buried him in a landfill, which at the time was an 87-acre wasteland of refuse, chemical, and thousands of barrels of toxic waste, known as Moscato's dump. A 1975 bureau search did not turn up any remains, but the numerous mobsters have been convinced through the years that Hoffa was dumped there, and FBI files reveal that various mafia members either said that Hoffa could be found there or suspected it. One mobster told agents that they brought him back here. Where do you think? Philip Brother Moscato's dump, another said. They put Hoffa's body in the 50-pound drum and trucked it from Detroit to New Jersey. Another said that if the feds dig at the dump, they'd hit pay dirt. And even some unnamed Teamster members were worried about the barrel. All right, this is adding up, folks. In the 1980s, the dump was declared a federal Superfund site, and the state and the U.S. Department of Environmental Protection cleared out and remediated the area. The EPA says it removed more than 10,000 barrels holding toxic waste, but the location where Frank says his father buried Hoffa turns out not to have been touched by the cleanup. Frank's father did not want Hoffa's remains to be found at his dump. So Frank said he buried him right next to his property, directly under the looming elevated skyway. All right? Which, at the time, was not part of the government remediation plan. My father decided to change the location because he felt he didn't know if somebody was watching, right? The place was under some surveillance, Frank told us. After I came in the day later, this hole that was dug, it was filled, right? Frank said that he decided to come forward because so many of the suspects involved are now dead. He promised his father, who died in 2008, that he wouldn't talk, even though he says his father's role in burying Hoffa always haunted him. He says his father's mob acquaintances gave him no choice and that he was very upset about it his whole life. All right, that he had to be put in this situation. Imagine that. Imagine, guys, being put in a situation where you had to choose your freedom and your family over doing what's right or doing what's wrong. It's kind of a situation that we're in right now with all this censorship. Do we conform to protect our families, or do we do what's right and stand up for free speech and open our mouths? But, if you don't do it, then they do it to you. That's what he was saying at the end here. I think I'm doing the right thing, Frank told us. My father said, I want this man to go home to his family. He needs to go back home. He was a great, good man, and my father did respect him. Frank, who was 63, when we met him in late 2019, had been in ill health for some time with heart and lung issues. He was worried that if he did not agree to be interviewed, his secret would die with him. If I pass away, nobody will know. I'm the last person alive who knows. Sadly, Frank did pass away 4 months after the interview. In February of last year, Frank Capala's information may prove to be his legacy that could finally solve the search for James Riddle Hoffa. Now, here's the screwed up part, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the real screwed up part. Since it's against New Jersey state law for Fox Nation to dig up the site, they're awaiting law enforcement action to take the next step to determine if what they found could finally end the mystery of what happened to Jimmy Hoffa. Now, I don't know a lot about this, and I'd like to find Jimmy Hoffa. That would be really cool. Now, they're saying that New Jersey law enforcement has to act, right? They're saying they don't have the right to dig, and they're not telling you to do anything. There's no call to action. So I'm going to make a call to action here. If you live in New Jersey or you are from out of New Jersey and you want to see something happen with this, I'll try to dig it up. I haven't found it yet, but find out what state law enforcement agency, right, is in control of this. And let's start emailing them. Let's start sending them letters. Hey, dig up this site. It's 10 feet. Dig down 10 feet. Let's get these metal barrels out of there. And let's find Jimmy Hoffa and put that crap to rest. I would love to at least find Jimmy Hoffa this year. I mean, of all the bad crap that's been happening in this country, right? It would be cool to solve a mystery. It might help some folks with their mental health. Folks, it's very important that we keep striving towards the truth, even when it involves something from so long ago. Because, ladies and gentlemen, without the truth, we have nothing. Without the truth, we are lost. And in the end, folks, whether the liars look like they're achieving greatness now, whether the cheats, the haters, and the bad folks, the elites, the rich of this world that are taking advantage of us poor, and I'm not talking about all rich. There are plenty of good rich people out there. I'm talking about the dastardly ones, the elites, the ones that are dancing on our backs. Folks, we will not take this anymore. Folks, we will not be slaves to the system. Ladies and gentlemen, what you need to do is speak up, even if it's about Jimmy Hoffa. Those elites can't run our lives anymore. Donald Trump showed us what was behind the curtain, and none of us will ever lay down again. Ladies and gentlemen, never, ever, ever give up your First Amendment rights to free speech. Never, ever, ever close your mouths. Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, and thank you for watching that clip. Folks, I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much that we're going to be going old school and finding ways to hit the street in a town or city near you. What do I mean by hit the street? I mean street team, folks. Old school 90s lanyards, pamphlets, stickers, and there's going to be a special surprise for all those who participate. Folks, if you want early in to what you're hearing, if you want to know more about what I'm talking about there, do me a favor, email me directly, JamesLane@AmericanReveille.com. That's James Lane at AmericanReveille.com. There's going to be a very, very special secret benefit to those who want to participate. Besides that, head to the website. You see it right there on the screen, www.AmericanReveille.com. That's www.AmericanReveille.com. You see that big green button? It says sign up. Hit that button, folks. Sign up for the American Reveille newsletter. Sign up for Project Underground Railroad. What this is going to do is, while Parler's down, while everything's a fritz, while people don't know what up is and what down is, what left is and what right is, I'm going to give you some daily updates, keep your mind in the right track, the right frame, keep you headed in the right direction, and update you on how we are organizing, working together, and building a coalition of like-minded individuals. Folks, big things are coming, and they are going to be magnificent, and I want you to be a part of them. So please, please, please keep informed. Sign up for the newsletter at www.AmericanReveille.com. If you're still with me, if you still want to help out, do me another great favor. Head over to Rumble, folks, www.rumble.com, and find me there, American Reveille. The name itself is American Reveille put together on the channel. So American, Reveille, if you search for it. One word, all right? American Reveille. And subscribe there. We're trying to build a base there. We're trying to get off YouTube and some of the other places that are cutting our distribution. We've already been shadow banned off of Facebook, off of Twitter, off of everywhere else. But folks, I'm not some kid. I'm not some quitter. I'm one of you. I'm a blue-collar, white-knuckle American, a calloused hand, hard-working SOB. And they ain't going to kill me off of that easy, folks. So we're going to go old school, like I said, and we're going to have more news about that coming very, very soon. Again, thank you so much for watching that great clip, and make sure you tune in next time. Bye.